This is BOBcast.
BuffaloBrotherhood.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Small Glass Show. This is the second time we were going to have small glasses. That wasn't me. I'm not playing the piano.
I don't know what that was.
This is the Buffalo Brotherhood.
Is it a bomb?
It's another one. This is the Buffalo Brotherhood. This is the BOBcast, our weekly podcast, and thank you so much for being here. This is episode 83, and I am Ryan. Alongside me, as always, is
Mike.
Across the table is
Doug.
And welcome back for a second week in a row is
Zach.
Zach. I didn't want to presume how we wanted to do that. You were ready.
I'm ready.
You're ready. Jake's gonna be so jealous. I never let Jake do that.
I just want to clarify, not the Lego Maniac.
Maybe he is. You don't know.
Back in the day.
The same? Okay.
See?
All right. I
Could be the
did.
same. The small glasses have returned because this is our second episode of Oktoberfest. The
We got our music?
ancient German celebration is now gone.
Get our music up, Mike.
But it is the month of October here in America.
True.
Which is a misconception for a lot of people. But any opportunity we get to learn more about the ancient art of beer making is a good opportunity. It's a good way to spend an hour. So we're going to talk a whole hour today about this. And Zach is going to be our guide, which is hilarious because if you listen to last week's episode, Zach was here. He was getting his feet wet. He didn't jump in a lot, but I understand. We were talking about, Star Wars. Maybe not comic books. Maybe not his first love. We were playing a game. So maybe not a lot of opportunities there. As soon as we stopped recording and we got ready for this show, it's like Zach's like unzipping zippers. He's like, I got y'all glasses. Here we go. And
Zippers around beer.
Well, he brought a cooler.
I just want to specify.
Thank you, Doug. And all of a sudden, it was like he was like, "I got this."
Not that it's wrong if you swing that way. I mean, we're an equal opportunity.
No, we're not.
As a show,
we
welcome people of all varieties.
Sure, absolutely.
They may want to leave after 5 minutes.
They're welcome to be here.
Yeah.
If they can put up with us, I guess
Right.
what you're saying. But like he was talking about, like immediately, like I got the cellar. We're like, wait, hold on. Back up. So, beer brewing. Zach, how long have you been doing it?
About 2.5 years.
Really? So this is like something you really got into.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought you were gonna be like my whole life. Like I was 16. My parents wouldn't let me drink, so I just made it myself. Like that sort of thing.
I had a bottle of orange juice and some bread.
I put it in the tank of the toilet. They never caught me.
They never caught me. Yeah, there we go.
Oh,
There's some good German.
I like that.
Yeah.
Is
this German?
I think it's like part of my art.
I feel like
The
I'm
Munich Meister
eating
Singers.
cheese dip right now.
The Munich.
I feel like it's
Munich Meistersinger. Burgermeister Meisterburger.
Krenzel Polka.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
I bet they won't get upset about us.
No.
They're probably old dead Nazis.
This is
so
a whole.
probably-
There's a whole like radio station on Google Music.
There we go.
Oktoberfest brass bands.
Let's drink. Okay, so you've been doing it for like 2.5 years.
Well, that was loud, bro. Sorry, everybody.
That'll wake you up.
Contain the Scots. So you've been doing it for 2.5 years.
Yes, sir.
Well, okay. Well, let's back up just 1 second here because I know you're itching to go on this. But about yourself,
Yes.
You've also been a soccer coach.
Yes.
Frisbee golf or disc golf. Excuse
Disc
me.
golf, yeah.
Is it wrong to say frisbee?
Yeah,
Yes.
Frisbee sounds so...
It's nothing like throwing a
Jerry Frolf.
Yeah, it's...
That's what George calls it, Frolf.
It's definitely disc golf, yeah. Frisbee's too fluffy, so...
There you go. So disc golf.
It's nothing like.
I don't think you can call it
It's
Frisbee
nothing
golf.
like throwing a frisbee.
Yeah, if you throw a Frisbee on the disc golf course, you're going to suck.
Well, I have the.
Well, I think
I have
Whammo
a
will sue
driver.
us if we say Frisbee.
Yeah.
I have a
that's true.
driver, a wedge, and a
Uh-huh.
putter, and they're all different. Like layman's just. I know the German music's throwing me off now. We're not talking necessarily about beer right away, but the edges of the disc is what.
Just talking German, Ryan.
Yeah, so yeah,
Speaking-
driver's gonna be thinner, so they cut through the wind. Mid ranges are gonna be a little bit thicker, and then putters are gonna be even thicker because they don't
It's
need
more of a
flat.
rounded edge.
It's more of a
altogether.
rounded edge, yes, to grab the chains.
Okay. All right. Well, and where all do you play that at?
I mean, there's three courses actually. There's McCulloch in Muncie, the Lions Club in Yorktown, and the Reservoir. There's a new course out there, the Prairie Creek Reservoir. So
That's awesome.
What's the best course?
I would say Yorktown because you get long holes and then short technical holes. McCulloch is just rip it. Like it's not really technical.
How much does it cost to play 18?
I mean, $0, which is amazing. That's why I play over real golf because I don't want to spend $25 and be pissed all day.
How much did you?
That's right.
Hey, we're having fun.
Let's not do a whole show on this, but how much is a set of?
Okay, so if you
I have
if you
two
just,
sets.
if
You want to go?
all you need is 3 discs, like professionals have like 25. I run with about 10 or 11, and I won't bore you on why, but 3 discs, you're gonna need your driver, mid, and a putter. You're gonna pay about $10 each, so about $30, and you can play for free the rest of your life.
So let's see. So today is the 16th. In 2 weeks, on the 30th, you're coming back to talk about this.
if we go out and play around, and then we'll come and talk.
We've been trying to do that with regular golf for months now. We haven't been able to do it.
We've actually played golf, but
we haven't been able to get the
failed to record.
Yeah. I actually have. I've got. They were like box sets. They were given to me.
Yes.
It just comes with a driver and a wedge and a putter.
Yeah.
I think they're all out of the boxes now, and like they've been in the backyard. The kids are throwing it. But now that you mention it, I've seen you've got a disc golf right in the back in your backyard.
Yeah, practice putting.
That's right.
That's kind of my second hobby. Brewing beer, and then that disc golf's probably my 2 hobbies that I do when I'm not hanging out with Jordan. So
There you
my
go.
wife.
You're right. You're right. Awesome. And you went paintballing a few weeks back.
I
Did you go?
did. No, I did not. They actually canceled that. I know. I did go paintballing for my best friend's bachelor party, though, down in Louisville, which is a couple months ago. That was a lot of fun. We dressed him up in a wedding dress.
Awesome.
On the field. It was pretty amazing.
That would be a good time. I still have my Titman Pro Light, but I haven't been able to use it in like 15 years.
Yeah, I used to have I was a spider guy back in the day, but I sold mine. Don't play anymore.
I don't want to sell it. It's one of those things like eventually I feel like maybe my kid will get old enough.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll be something we pick back up.
That's like my Super NES and Sega. It's just up in the attic, but I don't want to get rid of it because they're awesome.
Right.
But I never use it.
You do realize that we'll be in the Matrix by the time he wants to play paintball, Ryan. We're already in it right now, but we'll be in it.
We'll be better at it.
You put on a suit, and the suit will actually ping you every time you get hit, and it'll be Oculus Rift.
All right, whatever. No, I think people will still always go outside, guys.
No, they won't.
Okay. All right, back to beer brewing.
The virtual world is so much better.
So, you've been doing it for 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea you even brewed beer. I don't remember how it come up. I think I walked in to pick up. For full disclosure here.
Yes.
Your wife's a business owner.
Yes.
My kids go to school at her school.
Mm-hmm.
I think I walked in.
Mine did.
Mikey's did. I think I walked in there one time on a Friday night, and I was like, I gotta report a podcast, and I have no idea who's going to be on the show. And Jordan was just like, we should have Zach on sometime. I was like, why? He brews beer. I was like, what? No way. I had no idea. And then
even though he secretly had been casing your house. And he was like, I know there's got to be something in here. Oh.
Like seriously, and
there's a cask of ale.
She told me that it's a hobby you've done, and you're really passionate about it, and you've been tapped locally at a few places. Is that, or they sold your bottle?
Let's explain the terminology of tapped locally.
Okay, I mean that's actually illegal. I could never be tapped locally unless I owned a business.
In the state of Indiana, yes, that is. No, it's legal now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, when we say tap, what are we talking about? Tapped locally.
Whoa, yeah. Have we transitioned away from brewing again?
I think we have.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to clarify.
I think
we're talking about the same kind of tapping.
Yeah, that can.
Doug, stop talking.
Yep.
Yes. So.
Anyway, yeah, I think what you're referring to is we've entered some competitions down at the Hurrah and Fickle Peach and won some of those. So.
Yeah.
The beer has been consumed down there, but yeah, I would love to sell it, but I've never obviously been able to.
Because I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Because then there's a lot of litigation and excise tax and
but
so
I brought my beer to Joel Savage, who owns Savages, and I'm friends with him and Hurrah people down there as well. So they've tasted and thought it was pretty good.
So is this something that is this ever going to move out of hobby, or is this?
I think at one point we talked. I mean, like at one point, once Locker Room shut down, we really thought about buying Locker Room because I think. Like, to be honest, like, in a year or two, there's already going to be a brewery, and it's going to be they're opening 3 Wiseman down in the hotel. They're already already has a brewery. Kind of. There's that new corner. I say those in quotations because everybody can't see. Because I don't really count those as real breweries.
They can see. Periscope can see.
But what I'm saying is, I would have loved to, because I think it would have been a great moneymaker. Because once you get, but after in a year or two, somebody's gonna be established, and once you're the first person on the block, no matter if you're good, as long as you're good, you don't have to be great. Somebody's gonna buy into your stuff and they're gonna love it. Like I think Sun King is a perfect example. I don't think their beer's very good, but they were the first people in Indianapolis, and they got into every bar. So now everybody is all about Sun King, and if you come in new, you would have to blow Sun King out of the water to actually upset them. But since they're just good, people, and they're the first person, people are going to gravitate towards them and think they're the best.
They're like Sam Adams.
Yeah.
Just
so
local.
No, I don't think I'll ever open one. But I think a year or two ago, if you had enough people, you would have made a bunch of money.
So I'm parsing language here, but when you're talking about brewing, you use the we a lot.
Sorry. Yes.
Who's the we we're talking about?
I would have never got started without Stephen Barnes. He's actually the guy's wedding I was talking about, paintballing. I always talked about home brewing and always, because I love beer and whatnot, but he's a very do-it guy, and I'm a very research. Like before I go buy a toothbrush, I'm like, hey, what's the best toothbrush? Like nobody's ever went there and you walk up to them and they have broken teeth and you're like, oh, what happened? Oh, I bought the wrong toothbrush. Anyway, it's a side story.
Side story. It actually happened.
Yeah. So I Google everything. So I'm very a planner, whatever, but he's very do it. So he's just like, let's go, let's drive down to Great Federation, let's do it. And so he made me do it. And after that, we've done 45, 50 batches of beer. So wow. So it's been
very
casual. It's been a short time.
Yeah, 2.5 years for 45.
But yeah, like last year we kicked off and we did like 2 a month or something. Like we did something stupid because we finally got our process down, understood our equipment, and really got into it. The first year was only once a month, because when you brew 5 gallons, you don't want to mess up 5 gallons. That's 8 hours of your life and $40 a year, which isn't that much, but it's 8 hours, in 4 weeks you're waiting to kind of just dump it down the drain. You don't want to do that.
Yep. Mike's done it once.
Yeah.
I didn't dump it down the drain, though.
That's excellent to make, because my first one was awful.
It just, the batches of it weren't good, because like I said, from what I understood, I sanitized. We'll get more into this. I sanitized too much, from what I was told.
Let's try
that. When I did sanitize too much, some of the sanitizer was left. I guess maybe not sanitized. I didn't rinse very well, so that was the problem. Saying.
I
was told just to run my bottles through a dishwasher, and I would have been fine.
Yeah.
And just a hot run on a dishwasher, you're okay.
Yeah.
You got another one there.
Oh, see, these are all old ones.
That's all right.
Yes, you can do dishwasher. You can do the dishwasher. We didn't actually do that. You can actually bake them in an oven as well.
I'll find a towel.
You can actually bake them in an oven as well.
Oh, really? Ask Sarah.
But yeah, we just put them in a sink and hot water them.
Yeah.
2 different times. So
I used the sanitizer on those. I used the sanitizer on because everyone was pushing sanitize so much that you almost I got so worried about it. Like I was like, this is gonna mess everything up if I don't do this.
Yes.
And so I got into it too much. I think.
Thank you.
I want to do another batch. I still have my buckets. I got my carboy. I got a glass carboy. I've got the whole setup.
Well, let's before you get into all that. Walk us through a batch. Can you do that, or is it too?
Yes, I can.
Before you do that,
this one's good. I know this.
Pour something here.
So what is this here you're pouring?
So this is we made this for his wedding. This was the Bud Light of the party. So we're obviously craft beer drinkers. We're not drinking lagers, but you've got to appeal to some masses at the wedding. So this is actually our hoppy wheat. It's supposed to be a little less hoppy. Hops, by the way, is what you put in beer. So some people find that as very astringent or kind of bitter, and they don't like it. But this is going to be a very light beer with hops. So I knew this is good because we just did it. It's at least not going to explode on you. But
there's a little more still left.
Yeah, this is in terms of.
Oh, I didn't know that he'd already poured his. Okay.
That's all right. That's all right.
All right. Cheers.
I like this. This is probably my type of beer.
It's good.
Smells delicious.
That is a tasty beverage.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I think I have a new number 10.
I'd drink the shit out of that stuff. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'll just drink.
That's really good. Okay, So you mentioned hops. I have to sort of bring this up because
if you were to sell that, how much a bottle?
Like to you to make a profit?
Yeah, for you to make a profit.
Probably like $2.50 a bottle.
Because that sell that crap all day long.
But you did more than 5 gallons for that, right? Because you did it for a wedding.
No, but we only did 5 gallons of this because we didn't like it. We did 10 gallons of 2 other beers because we were fine having leftovers. But this I didn't want to.
How
have
much
leftovers.
can you brew for personal consumption?
I think it's.
Is it 500 gallons?
It's something to 5, man.
I thought it used to be 500 gallons. I don't know what it is anymore.
Yeah, it's something dumb which you're never gonna do. But what it is it's per person per household.
That's good. It's good.
So technically, I can brew, and then I could brew the same amount, and say my wife brewed it, and so you can have double. So that's how smaller.
Well, 3 of you.
You can use my name.
Does he have 500?
Use your name. I can use your name.
Here, where's our here? Let's find $40.
Yeah.
And we'll just.
So you know what's going to happen after this?
But that would be illegal. Let's not put that on.
You know what's going to happen after this, right? We're going to go down and buy a batch.
So all right, we're calling it right now, like version 3 of our. Okay, so this is another one that you made.
Yeah, it's another. It's breakfast stout. It's kind of got some chocolate and.
All right.
So this is.
I'm not a stouty guy anymore, but.
So this is like akin to like the double chocolate oatmeal.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Give me about the same amount, Doug.
So do you want me to go ahead and I guess go back to your original question of going through the brewing process?
Well, okay, but you did mention hops, and I just because I was surprised to find again one day when I stopped by your residence, you had hops growing.
Yeah.
How'd that turn out for you?
Oh God, that smells like coffee.
3 of the 4 shoots took off actually better than Steve and my brewing partner's first years did. And did really excellent. The fourth one I actually dug up, and I'm going to try to replant next year, but most likely I'm just going to buy 2 new hops. And so, yeah, it was a very fun experience, but you don't get much yield the very first year. The very first year I got like...
Is it a perennial?
7 ounces total.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying.
Yeah, they're just...
I didn't know that.
In the first year, they're really not supposed to bud at all. They're supposed to just basically grow their roots, but mine were actually... I bought them from like an organic farm in Oregon. My friend, he got his just at Great Fermentations, which probably just didn't get the best supply, but I got some organic, and they did really excellent.
Well, I was surprised they grew all the way up, and
you're supposed to have like 35 feet or so of, like, they can grow that high. You want to have at least 15 feet if you're in a household. So yeah, I have a trellis thing like with some twine and whatnot.
Smells really good. Do you have a name for this one?
This is Joey's Breakfast Stout.
This one was Wedding Bell Wheat is what you call it.
Yeah. So this is the only one we ever made a label for. He made labels for his wedding because he's all special. The only way we designate is our cap color, so I'll know what my cap color is. Now, some of these in here I made so long ago that we've had to reuse the same cap, so I have no idea what some of these are.
Yeah, because I asked Zach to come on here a year ago.
Yeah.
And he got it taken care of. Okay, so go through the process now.
Okay, so I'm not going to get too termy unless somebody wants to. But basically you take some grains and you steep them in
really
in water.
Good too. I like this too.
Thank you. You steep them in water, and then that's kind of what's created as your wort. And then you take your wort, you put it in a brew kettle, you boil it, you add your hops or any other ingredients that you want to flavor the beer. Then you cool it down. You then add a yeast, and then you rack it and you let it sit for however long your process is, usually 2 weeks. You can transfer it to a secondary.
Hold on, because I may have missed a step. So you have your wort. You you add your yeast directly to your wort.
No, I mean
or you strain first.
Yeah, you strain. You add your grains, and you steep them kind of like a tea bag.
Yeah, but you don't have to strain if you use like a cheesecloth and put it in with like you said, like a steep or tea bag.
Now, when you brewed, did you do all grain or extract? Did you?
I did both. It had grain and extract.
Okay, so that's what I call that extract brewing.
Because it had the bucket of
a little can of like liquid molasses.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had that, but then it had steeping grains too.
Yes.
So which do you do?
I do all grain now. That's the big head honcho way to do it.
If you do it the other way, technically you're making someone else's. Really, it's like the difference between, in my opinion, baking a cake with all the true ingredients or buying a box cake is the difference.
Right. He's Martha Stewart. He's Betty Crocker.
Yeah. Do you know like what the alcohol level of some of the stuff is?
I have it in a program. I can't think of off my head. I think this one's around like 6.5 or 7, somewhere on there.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones. This is one actually. I have another friend wedding in next May, and we're gonna do this base beer. We're gonna add one with vanilla beans and the other with blackberries and cherries. So
I bet the blackberry and cherries.
Yeah, that one's gonna be great.
What'd you do?
There's some bug in my face.
Yeah. All right. So then once it's racked and it sets.
Yep, it's racked and set, and that's where it just basically the yeast eats all the sugars and turns your wort, which was basically nothing in alcohol. That's where the alcohol comes in, is when the yeast eats the sugar. So that's where the magic happens. For about 2 weeks, you got to wait. Some beers you have to wait longer. Some beers you have to wait 8 months to a year to do, but
you transfer it from one station to another during that time. You can strain it out, because there'll be a lot of residue and stuff like that left in there. Because it transfers after... I think I had to go 3 weeks with mine. I had to go 2 weeks in the 5-gallon bucket, and then I had to transfer it to my carboy and do another week in the carboy, or a week and then 2 weeks, something like that. It was 3 weeks total, I think, but I wasn't sure which way it went. But
all right, another dark one.
Yeah,
but then you bottle it.
It says Russian Imperial Stout.
Now, when you bottle, do you bottle and then do you use yeast, a sugar as your carbonation, like bottle carbonation, or do you use an actual carbonator?
I use dextrose, which is basically sugar. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a forced car or a keg. My friend Steven, who I brew with, he actually just bought a keg, so that we've kegged about 3 beers, and that is it's really nice. Like, it doesn't take very long at all.
I like that one better.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that beer we actually aged for 6 months, so that one took a really long time.
But I have to say,
it's a Russian Imperial.
I went through the big stout phase, like probably 9 or 10 years ago, and I would have liked the one before that. Probably back then I'd like that one better. But for whatever reason, my palate just kind of mellowed.
Yeah, I think stouts. I mean, this is the time of year that I'm starting to drink my stouts again.
Right.
But I only drink them about 2 or 3 months a year. The rest of the time, I want other beers like IPAs and things like
porters and stouts in the winter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or winter beers.
That's good.
We might be able to try some of these Poe beers. We'll see.
I'm trying to parse out a little bit the difference in the flavors. I should have.
Well, the one before that, it definitely smelled and tasted like coffee.
A coffee taste.
Yeah. So this one was just brewed with no really additives. The second one you're drinking, the first one we added real coffee beans. We added cocoa powder.
You could taste that. For
cocoa nibs. So we added a lot more flavors. This one didn't meld for a lot longer time, so it's got a little higher alcohol content. And just some maybe more deeper flavors, but sometimes it's not as pronounced. Like, I like the more coffee one forward. I like coffee better, but some other people would like.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I like the breakfast beer.
That's because Ryan drinks like 2 gallons of coffee a day.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm getting a little tipsy here. I'll be honest.
Well, let's keep going.
I can't feel my cheeks.
I can't feel my face. He loves it. Okay, we'll try one of these.
Just keep talking, Ryan.
So how?
Sorry, I can't. I was drinking.
So how many bottles of your actual beer do you have currently in stock? Like at your house?
Let's talk about the cellar.
Oh, this is pumpkin beer.
Yeah, this is 2 years ago. It's actually like one of my very first. So I've made a better one. So this is my favorite. It's very just subtle. I don't think the pumpkin's very pronounced. But anyway, are you talking about home brews or are you talking about beer, like store-bought beers?
Just your beers.
Oh, just my home brews.
Right.
Okay, I probably only have besides what I brought tonight, I probably have 10.
Yeah.
Just because I don't keep any of my beer, I drink it.
Well, I feel better. We're cutting into your
Oh,
stash.
no.
Okay.
No, this is all, again, this is more older stuff. Unfortunately, I wish, see, my friend got married in June. He moved up to Valpo. So I haven't brewed since May, which is awful. So usually I brew every single month.
That's spicy.
And so this has been, it's got like a jalapeno, like almost like a pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be, over time, beers can kind of, actually that's an off flavor that you're getting. It's just the interactions.
The sad thing is that tastes better than a lot of stuff I've actually paid money for at the friendly package.
Yes.
So.
Yes, you could brew it. But anyway, so yeah, I don't have very many on stock just because I brew a lot of IPAs, and you're not supposed to hold on to those. You'll drink some of my IPAs I have, but they're most likely over the hill, and the reason why is the hops fade. You want those when they're fresh and whatnot. So I have a few stouts that have still saved.
Because the reason that they were IPAs, of course, I know you knew this, but they're India Pale Ales because they put a lot of hops in them to make them last the trip to actually make it to India from England.
Yeah, there is a pepper.
Yeah.
So that's why you're supposed to drink them early because you want that taste, but the reason they were like that is because it faded.
Yeah, I have no idea what this is. We made it at some point.
It said maybe IPA question mark
yeah,
question mark
I think it
mark.
might be our Mosaic IPA, which is a different hop. But
yeah, I can't do that with the taste on it.
It's
in the back of my throat.
Anything you don't want to drink, I'm not.
You know, I found it oddly stimulating.
I did too. It was kind of like hot wings almost. It was like
you don't really see that a pepper beer.
No.
We might be on to something.
Chili beers are some of my favorite. Like,
really?
Yeah, you can get them like super hot. Like one of my favorites is called Ghostface Killer, and it is just like it's like drinking like mango habanero from BW3's, like that sauce. It's just like drinking that liquid. It's amazing.
Well, it smells hoppy.
Man.
So okay, so let's
a light hop.
Let's do the follow-up question to Mike's question there. What is some of the beers that you drink that you don't make?
Okay, and
what else is in your collection?
I brought some. I mean, we can drink this later, but Bourbon County, you might hear a lot about this. This is probably one of my favorite beers on the earth. It's by Goose Island up in Chicago. Yeah. So they were one of the very first people that did barrel aging programs. So they'll take a beer and they'll put it in a used barrel from Heaven Hill or Jim Beam or something like that.
Bourbon.
And probably my second favorite is KBS, which is this label here. It's from Founders. It's a Kentucky breakfast stout. So that's a great one as well. Narwhal, Sierra Nevada. It's out in California.
Yeah.
So my favorite beers are probably the most complex beers I have are darker, richer stouts. They've just got a lot of depth of flavor and whatnot. So those are my favorite. As far as IPAs, Three Floyds, which is up in Munster, Indiana, right near Chicago. They make some of the best IPAs in the world. Zombie Dust, you'll see around here. Gumball Head, Alpha King.
Yeah, Gumball Head's good. I've had that before.
Yeah, and Gumball Head and Alpha King are very... Now, to me, they're not hoppy. Those are they're more just base easy. They're very good. I will always drink them, but I won't choose. If I see Zombie Dust or see Arctic Panzer Wolf, something more hoppy, I'll choose that. And then Sours, which is by Upland down in Bloomington, that's a totally different beer. It's basically they took a beer and they let a wild yeast come in and it sours, so it gets kind of vinegary, tart, Warhead. That's probably one of my other third favorite styles of beer. So.
Okay, so there used to be a brewery in Fort Wayne who operated under Warhead or Warplane.
Warbird.
Warbird, that's right.
It was they used to have their beer at the Landing downtown.
I used to love their I loved their P51.
Okay.
And then they shut down and it was all gone. But I think it was a little bit like.
Well, it seems like there's a little bit of a resurgence here because there was that big boom that seemed like happened maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, when I was 21. So.
And then it's like the market, as the economy tanked, that seemed like the market probably took a few of those out, and now there's some resurgence.
That is really good. I'm not sure what that one was. I can't remember.
You don't know what it is?
I don't know. Those are the two I don't. Oh, this is my West Coast. My bad. This is originally our best IPA we made. Since then, we've made a better one called Sip of Sunshine, which is actually stolen from a brewery in Vermont.
Wait, are you coming up with these names in your guys' own?
Sometimes we are. This one actually stole. We actually did a clone of a beer. So the beer that is actually sold in Vermont, you're able to find online people that have better minds than me and Steven that have actually took a drink of it and be able to figure out what ingredients they use, and basically you can clone it, which what you did obviously is you bought a kit, which is kind of what a clone is. So basically we've done the grown-up version of that. If somebody's actually made that recipe, crafted it, it's not a kit you can buy. You have to go out and buy those ingredients singly.
Right.
But you can make the same beer that some commercial brewery makes, and that's probably our best IPA right now. This used to be our best IPA, and this was a recipe me and my friend made up. So we were proud of it at that point. But so it kind of sucks that our favorite beer that we make is probably one that somebody made. But obviously they have better minds and they have more under their belt. But this is obviously way past its prime. It's not going to be very hoppy. It's going to be kind of
a little bit.
It's just a little bit. It's a little bit funky.
So have you done any wine?
We have not done any wine, and surprisingly, as much as my wife likes wine.
Some.
Yeah.
But we just love Tunney so much that we just kind of go there a bunch. Right. So, and I like wine, but I just love beer. So
I mean, because it's all the same. As long as you have a glass carboy, you can do everything the same way.
Basically identical. Yep.
Right. The football mine actually just gave me. He did some strawberry wine with the strawberries that he grew.
Well, Jake, a friend of the show, Jake, he built an apple press, and they were building their own press.
Well, speaking of that, this is a cider that we actually made.
Let's slow down. Let's slow down.
No, you cracked that.
I feel a little bit like The Weeknd, I'll be honest. I don't know that I can feel my face right now.
So this is about 2 years old. We've made better ciders since, but this was one of our very first ciders. So my friend Steven, he's got a very crunchy, toasty, very hippie green family, if we want to say. They make all their own stuff. Don't use pesticides, all that. So they have a huge garden, and they get tons and tons of apples.
Sounds like my kind of people.
Yeah, and so it's basically cider is very easy. You just basically put...
That has an interesting smell to it.
You basically just put apples and sugar, and you let it ferment. There's not a ton of ingredients and hops like you do with the other beers. And you can get these can get pretty...
Now it's got almost a winey.
Well, yes, it gets
flavor.
Very winey. There's some champagne yeast used, so that's where you're going to get a little bit more of that. Yeast can really change. I could brew 3 of the same beers, and I could put different yeast, and you get totally different flavors.
Right.
My favorite cider, I don't know if you had it, that J.K. Scrumpy's.
No, I'm not a big cider person.
Oh, well...
But
I have become, as like I said, I've mellowed as I've gotten older. But that stuff, I could drink that all day long.
This makes me want to brew another.
That
I have to clean my stuff so much.
You can just come to my place. We'll make a Buffalo Brotherhood brew.
Oh man, there it is!
Did you see me?
It just happened.
Did you see my face?
It just happened. There it is.
Happened.
The Bob brew. The Bob brew.
We'll have to kickstart
it. Could be an 8-hour log podcast.
There we go. We'll Periscope.
Crap! It just happened. The only thing I didn't have. Okay, here's the question: How you guys have a gas stove at your house?
Okay, yeah, we don't do it on stoves. We
use a
propane burner. Okay.
So you use like a turkey fryer.
Yeah, originally we used a turkey fryer. Not to interrupt you, but originally we used a turkey fryer, and that took about an hour and a half longer than what it should.
Okay.
So we bought a Blitzman burner, which is just like the hoss of a thing. So before it took about an hour. Took out 50 minutes to boil 5 gallons of water. Now it only takes 15 minutes. So you can see how, and you have to do that multiple times because you have to heat up water to put in your mash tun, and then you have to heat up water to boil. So there's 2 different. So we were saving about 2 hours by buying a better burner. But some people do it on a gas stove, and that's even.
See, I did mine on a.
Or electric stove,
electric stove, and I bought an aluminum pot and not a stainless pot.
Yeah.
So it was a little different.
Well, you're supposed to use copper pots.
You're supposed to use stainless.
Yes.
Stainless is the way to go.
So the way what we did, instead of buying, because to buy a 15-gallon pot, I mean they can cost $150, $200, $300.
Right.
We took a keg. So if you think of a keg. And we took a joint grinder and grind it out the top, and so we brew out of a keg. And that's what most home brewers do. Is find, because you can find kegs on Craigslist. Now this was a few years ago. Now everybody's buying them up. You used to be able to find them for $50 because for some reason they wouldn't take it back to the liquor store and get the deposit back, so they would sell it. And so we bought 3 or 4 kegs back a couple years ago. Now you can't find them anymore because people know they use them for home brewing, and they kind of jack the price up. But so we have
That's a good idea. Did you weld some handles on the side?
So we didn't weld, but we have some. There's a place called brewhardware.com, and they have weldless stuff. So we just took a drill bit, which is actually a diamond bit, and kind of drilled into there, and then we put ball valves, a sight tube, a bunch of stuff. We kind of tricked it out. So
now, have you done? Because there's more step when you did the steps, you buy your grains directly, and
I did very basic telling you about the steps.
Do you guys have a mash set up, like the levels?
Yes,
and stuff
we
like
have
that?
So we go and we buy our grains at great fermentations.
Right.
And they mill them for us, so they crush them.
Okay.
So we know that we're going to brew within a week, because you don't want to let your grains be crushed for really over that time. So they crush them for us. Some people, if you're really into it, you have your own mill. You can buy. That's where you buy in bulk and you save a lot of money.
Right.
In a way, but not really. But you have to be brewing a lot to save a lot of money, in my opinion. So anyway, you get the grains mashed, you take them home. What we do is we dump them in a cooler. So we dump them just in an ice or igloo cooler, and we put hot water, 145 to 156 degree water, in those grains. We stir it up. It looks like oatmeal. It's basically what it looks like. And then you let that set for a certain amount of time so that the starches in those grains and the enzymes interact, and that kind of creates sugar. And then I'll siphon it out very slowly, and I'll get just that sugar that I want into my pot.
Do you use the drain on the cooler?
I use it. I've used this. I've actually hooked up a ball valve drain, and we'll open it up just only about 25% and let it drain into our brew kettle.
Right.
And I'll basically I'll wash them again. I'll wash them real quickly. So that means I'll dump water back in, same higher temperature, and I'll do a quick 15-minute wash. I'll get the rest of those sugars out, and there I should have my pre-boil volume, which if I'm doing a 5-gallon batch, it'll usually be about 8 gallons, because you'll basically boil off about 3 gallons of beer.
That's a mash tun, right?
Yes, the mash tun. Yeah. So after you do the mash tun, you boil the wort for about an hour usually, and then you add hops, and the hops will.
You feeling good, Ryan?
Do you want more cider?
We'll take the alpha acids out of the hops. That's where you get the bitterness.
What?
And more then you transfer over to the carboys. So
I know, man.
I'm trying to hold awesome. You guys have it set.
It's all gravity fed. Some people have pumps.
Oh,
so we have enough room, because pumps are great. I really would love to do pumps, but there's a little bit more cleaning involved, because you have to clean out your pumps every time, and it's obviously money. So obviously, if you use gravity, it's free.
Right. That's. When I did my brew, there were many long nights spent just watching guys on YouTube, watching as many videos as I could, and watching these mash tun setups, and these guys in their backyards. A lot of them in like the west, the southwest, where they don't have to worry about weather and stuff. They have these setups where they start like 8 feet in the air, and they're working their way down and going through all these different steps, and it's insane, all in their backyard, and it's pretty cool. So
before you get too inebriated,
too late.
This is our coconut porter. This is the beer that we did take to the Herat, and we won Best in Show there, so we basically won first place at the Herat a couple years ago. So after this gets done foaming, this is our second batch, Volume 2.
Ryan's just looking at like
Volume 3 Volume 3 is our best. This is another beer we brewed for the wedding as well. We brewed this, our Sip of Sunshine, and then that one you had the very first, that hoppy wheat.
Yes.
So coconut porter,
Wedding Bell wheat.
Yeah, was one of our very first beers we took to competition. We won, so that was really cool. And we use about 2 pounds of toasted coconut. So we actually toast the coconut, organic coconut, and then we add it to the boil, and we add it in the secondary. So we do 2 different additions.
Wow.
So it's a very expensive brew. Most brews are about $40. You get 57 bottles, so you're looking at less than $1 a bottle. Now you gotta, obviously factor in water usage, gas usage, all that. But in a way, you want to brew about under $1. Now this brew, you're looking about $2 a bottle, so it's not as cost effective, but it tastes darn good. I mean, you're gonna get what you pay for.
That's awesome.
Because of the coconut.
The coconut is we use coconut, we use lactose, so we actually pour in some lactose. We actually use vanilla. So there's add ingredients that usually you don't see in some of the other brews. Now I'm not saying this will blow your socks away, because it is 2 years old and it's our second batch, but. This is a brew that I'm going to brew again for my friend's wedding as well, at the breakfast stout in vanilla and cherries. So it's going to be a very dark wedding.
So while I have you here and we're talking...
Well, hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on.
Now I want to do a brew, but the big question was, and everyone had a different opinion online, which sanitizer do you use?
Okay. I use Star San for sanitation. For cleaning stuff, I just use OxyClean. You don't need to buy PBW.
Right.
And in sanitation, and it's weird that you said that you over sanitize in a way. Sanitation is huge, but I understand what you're saying of it being, everybody talks about, oh my gosh, you have to be so, after you get your process down, you don't have to be so protective about what you do. You know when you're going to mess things up, because anything before the boil, it doesn't matter, because you're going to boil off everything, so you really can't mess it up. But yes, we to leave bubbles the very first time, there used to be bubbles in our carboy, and we washed them out. And that actually took away the sanitation. Bubbles are not going to do anything to your beer. Now, yes, they can hurt head retention, which is what the foam of this is.
That was my problem.
So that can, yes, I know. I'm keeping this PG here.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
So that can hurt it, but basically, we are very big about sanitation, and we over-sanitize everything and whatnot, but
really, you should always.
I think it wasn't.
Sanitize
I think it wasn't over
retention.
sanitation. It wasn't rinsing my sanitation off, and that's what caused the issue in my bottles.
And that's the big of the bottles. Before then, you just want to over sanitize, leave stuff in. So yeah. So yes, I use Star San I get from Great Firm. There's nothing better than that. It's the best.
Cabela's sells
It's the best thing. Yeah, really.
That's weird.
And then just OxyClean. Just get OxyClean. It's gonna be cheaper than any other stuff you're gonna clean with. And then for our stainless steel stuff, I use that bar cleaners. It's like you find in your grandma's closet or cupboard. It's just like an old silver or gold can. Yeah, that's what we use for stainless steel, because if you leave OxyClean on stainless steel, it will pit. So it will actually carve in your stuff if you leave it too long. So it's very good to use something different on your kegs or pots.
This is really good.
Thanks. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's probably older. I haven't tasted it, but it was one of our best brews.
Do you want to?
I mean, I will. I poured myself some. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Please allow me to let you drink your own beer.
Yes.
I think you should have some more, Ryan.
Man, you got me wanting to do another brew bottles. So bad.
I'll be honest.
And I have a basement. Man, you realize what kind of cellar I could set up in that basement down there?
You have a basement?
Yeah.
I may move my stuff over to your house because my friend, in about 5 years, he's gonna actually take his stuff up to Valpo. Right now, he's left in the house.
Mike's like, Sarah.
So I can still go over there and brew whenever I want. But I am gonna need a space to move at some point.
You know who had a great place? Raymond. You know him?
Yeah.
That house that he lived in has a full. I mean,
the one on the highway.
Yeah, I mean a massive house, full basement on the entirety of the house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always
mine's dirty
perfect
and nasty.
So you got to have good airflow, because technically in a basement is very bad because you're using natural gas or propane. Right. So we had 2 windows down there that had good airflow. We had carbon dioxide things. We only had one time where we almost had an incident. But every other time it's been very safe. Yeah, a lot of people do that in the garage. They open the door. The only thing winter brewing sucks, because if you have to for 2-3 hours, you have to sit in 20-degree weather, in Indiana.
Right.
So luckily,
if I'm drinking this, I'm all right with that.
All right. That's exactly what we do when we brew. We have home brews at some points, but I bring a lot of stuff from my cellar. And we pop and drink beers while we brew.
Of course.
We try to wait until we get to the boil, because we don't want to mess up things before that.
Right.
But where's my pipe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend who's big into cigars. He's smoked cigars while we brew as well.
See, I should have bought it. I never bought a turkey fryer, and I wanted to do that because that was the way I was going to go. I wonder how good my side burner on my grill would do. Probably as good as a turkey burner.
Yeah, probably is. Yeah.
The turkey fryer setup.
Yeah, you're gonna take. It's gonna depend on wind, obviously, that day. If it's very windy, you're gonna take a lot longer, because the temperature outside on your pot and the flame.
I would just crack my door in my garage and do it in the garage.
That's what most people do.
With just a ventilation spot like that. Yeah. And
that's we have very little ventilation, so it'd probably work just fine.
Okay. BOBcast brew, Buffalo Brotherhood brew.
Mm-hmm.
What do you visualize here, Zach? What do you see?
We would have to do something we would enjoy, I would think.
Yeah, definitely something. I mean, I envision that Buffalo just sound. I don't know. I feel like a Scotch ale.
Ooh.
Yeah, or something kind of caramely.
I don't know what that is, but
okay, Scotch ale. I mean, it's basically mixed between like a red ale and a porter, I would say. It's gonna be very. I don't know. I would name some commercial brews, but you probably don't know any of them, so I won't bore you with that.
Okay.
But I'm just saying it's very
between a red and a dark, like a brown.
Yeah, it's very brown. Scotch ales are very
Newcastle?
brown. Yeah, they're gonna have toffee flavors. They're gonna be like caramely rich brown. Yeah, it's just a very subtle flavor, but they've got some dark fruits in there. But I mean, anything that you guys enjoy.
Some fruit in it. That would be fun.
Yeah, I found out when we did our beer tasting that these guys.
Apricot.
like gravitate towards fruity stuff.
Well, there were.
I have a barley wine, which is very close to a Scotch ale. So
we'll have to try that.
If you want to try that and think if you'd like to do something like that, you can.
The Sam Smith, the strawberry, is really good. The organic strawberry stuff.
The best fruit beer I've ever had, Pete's Wicked Ale, made a strawberry that was so good. I loved it. Every chance I had to get it, and then they stopped making it. Kind of made me mad. But do you ever drink?
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm guessing you've
6,
tried the big
7,
stuff, like, of course you've tried like the Red's apple, stuff like that. It's okay. Did you like it?
No.
Okay. What about? Have you had not your father's root beer?
Not your father. Okay. Of all the beer, like anything Sam Adams, anything Angry Orchard, anything which some of those things, I'm gonna not
right.
I'm not gonna enjoy. They're just mass produced. They just don't have as much flavor. But I'm not gonna be such a snob that I'm not gonna like hang out with you. Like, because I think, to be honest, on a summer day, a Corona while you're grilling is probably one of the best combinations.
You know what I like?
You know what? I use my judgment to determine if I drink beer. If I mowed my yard.
He beat you to it, Ryan.
If I mowed my yard, and when I get done and I come in.
You know what I like? You know what I like after I do that? A fresh, not bad PBR. When I get done mowing the yard, that is the best tasting thing.
Yeah.
You're sweaty, you're hardworking.
Yes.
A light beer like that is so good.
Yeah,
I think Corona is what.
Yeah.
I'm PBR.
PBR is one of my favorites as well. I would choose ever Bud Light, Budweiser,
Miller High Life.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you can get for 50 cents at Savage's on Mondays, or
right.
$1 any other day.
Yeah.
Miller High Life
Normally it's
in
Rolling
lemonade.
Rock is what I drink after I've.
But saying that, going back to Not Your Father's Root Beer, is very gimmicky, like in a way, to a lot of people. But I kind of enjoyed it, like for what it was. I enjoyed it.
It didn't make it very high on our list, did it? It was like in the middle.
It was in the middle.
I mean, because again,
you tell me it's beer, it's got to be beer, and it wasn't beer.
You got to classify it in its own realm.
Yes.
Is this what we're drinking? Bigfoot?
Yes, you're drinking Bigfoot.
So
this is the 2013 version.
So you probably don't like shandies.
No, not really.
Not really.
What
That's too bad.
You can't really do like an open fermentation here, could you?
You can. We've actually done a sour and we've done open fermentation, and we basically got
wow.
Is it called a framboise like that if you do it that way?
Did you try this?
It's called technically
that's a framboise does that, right?
Yes, but the technique is actually called a cool ship, is what they actually put it in.
Okay.
But yeah, that's how you get a lot of people. Sours are basically wild random yeast. Now they've actually strained them out where you can go buy them. But before that, they just kind of, whatever region you're in, they get great regions. But if you open something in Muncie, how great are we going to get something?
Yeah.
If we're in Switzerland, you're going to have those flour esters. You're going to have a lot of regional stuff. But I feel like in Muncie, you're not going to have the best kind of air quality.
So you said you guys tried it and you got mold?
We got mold. We got straight mold. So we did sours, and we did 4 different buckets. We did one in glass, one in plastic, one in, I don't know what, we did something weird, and then we did an outdoor one, and it just, within about 3 months, it molded and was gross. It was bad. So, but our other 3 did well for a little while, and then they fell off the cliff.
Would that be something like where you would want to pay very close attention to the weather season that's coming up? Because like right now, it's a little drier out, probably less likely to be mold in the air, rather than like in the spring or or early winter when there's a little more moisture.
It's a possibility.
I know, it's really good.
I don't know what Doug.
You don't even know what you're tasting anymore.
No, What was this?
What do you think of
you said a barley wine?
Barley wine. So this is a brew that takes a little bit longer. It takes usually 8 months or so. So it's a longer brew.
I could see this being a Buffalo brew.
See this?
You could go quicker. You could do it in a quicker time though.
This reminds me of a transition phase between kind of the dark and the going into the hoppy, super hoppy IPA.
So basically, you're hitting something great, Doug. Actually, is this? They take this brew and they actually hop it up, really at the beginning, and they let it sit for 8 months, and so then it kind of fades, and they get different flavors. So that it starts out very hoppy, so that's why you do taste those hops.
So, I'm just thinking of my own drinking history, like going from, I really went for the super dark beers.
He did too, man. Like it's like when we were like 21,
like syrup.
Like he was like Guinness and then dark, and nobody could understand it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But then I don't know if it's just I drank so much of it that I got burnt out, and then I started transitioning into the IP, like the hop beer, like if I could rub my face in it, type hops. Oh, that's what I wanted.
Yeah. You want to hear a gross story?
Well, sure.
So this might not be the best for you, since you're anyways.
I'm good.
But on my
do you want any more of
this? My bachelor party.
I'll keep drinking it.
We went out. We went to the Herat and we went to the Fickle Peach.
Right.
And I remember one of the last things I bought because everyone was buying me everything.
You're going to babysit me a little bit. Today.
Everything and anything. Everyone was buying me everything. And then I was like, I have to buy one at least. I was like, I only need one. Let me find what we can get. And I bought like a $25. It was an Imperial Stout. There's a big bottles.
Did I go to your bachelor party?
There's tons of.
No, it was just me and Barry.
I don't remember what it was.
It was just me and Barry were left. Me and Barry were left, and I bought this bottle, and Barry was like, "You don't need to buy that. You don't need to buy that." And so I was like, "No, I'm buying it," and I was done after that. Of course, I went back home, and nothing but nastiness came out of me that evening. But and it was just black. Everything that came out of me was just dark. Mm-hmm. It was disgusting. But anyways, it was gross.
Well, thank you.
But I can't think of the name. Rogue is the brewery that did it.
Well, I was going to tell you.
Beer?
Yeah, I think so.
The beer that we tasted that actually came recommended from a friend of mine who's a beer collector himself was the what was the name of that one? It was an IPA. It was Founders. What was the name of the beer that
Devil Dancer?
No, the one that we said that was tasted like cat pee or something.
Oh, no, the All Day IPA.
All Day.
Oh, it was awful.
It is the worst beer.
Oh, okay.
Founders might be, if you ask me what brewery, if they decimate every brewery in the world, I would say only keep one, I would say Founders. But that beer is awful. I don't know what happened. It's like there's no flavor and it falls off a cliff and there's even more no flavor. Like it's just gross. Like
it was gross.
Every time I've had it, it's been awful. Yeah. So I don't know what is up with that beer, but people love it.
It had a great rating. What was the
Beer Advocate? Oh yeah.
We were following everything on there.
Yeah, and I'm on Beer Advocate as well. So.
Oh, can we like him?
No, you can't like. You can just you can go to my site and look at how many beers I've reviewed or liked or had or traded or whatnot.
Yeah, no, it was terrible. I mean,
it was
do much in the way of beer trading? Cause that's what
I have traded about 70+ times.
Chuck is a friend of mine who was supposed to be on the show and then he ended up having I asked him to be on the show. He had some food poisoning issues or whatever.
Yes.
But I've asked him several times to be on here to talk about it. And beer trading is sort of his thing.
Yeah.
Like he picks up a lot from the local breweries here, then mails them off.
Yep.
And trades. But
it's fun. That's how my cellar is amassed about 300-400 bottles is through trading, basically, not just buying it Muncie liquors.
Let's talk about a cellar real fast.
Okay, what's a cellar?
You created your own cellar, right?
Yeah, so I took basically a freezer. I'd love to have a fridge.
What is this?
I don't know, but I'm skipping it.
Yeah. Okay, anyway.
So basically, I would love to have a fridge because if there was a malfunction, my beer would not freeze and be poop, but most of the time you can't find a stand-up fridge without a freezer top.
Right.
So I got a stand-up freezer, took a temperature control, made it, and then it's between 50 and 55 because that's really where you want your beer to be drank. You don't want it when people say, when they drink it super cold, you're not going to get all the flavors. You're actually muting the flavors. So
like when the mountains are blue, it's a bad thing?
Yep, that's the stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah. But see, now, the funny thing is, though, when we drank, the only thing that ever violated that root beer, the root beer with corn syrup in it or whatever it is.
Not your father's root beer.
Not your father's root beer.
Like the colder that was, I think the better I liked it because I think it tastes like pop.
Yeah, it tastes like what the root beer, which you usually get root beer served in a frosty mug. So
right.
Yeah. So anyway, cellar. Yeah. So that's what I made a cellar, and I basically have 300+ beers, which is cool, but then also not cool because I need somebody to drink them with. I
don't know anybody
we record every other Friday night.
So and I've got most of those beers through trading, sending beers from here, like I talked about, Three Floyds beers, Upland sours. I'll ship them to California because you don't I don't know. It's a weird. I don't want to get into it too much, but when you do trade beers, it's weird because like when I travel to California, I want to go to a liquor store, and that sounds stupid because you think, oh, every liquor store is the same.
Right.
Well, it's not. Distribution is different. Beers that I get here, Ohio doesn't get, which
Yingling.
My next thing.
Yingling. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. People understand that. So that's why you trade beers, because beers I can find on the shelf over here, somebody else can't find in California.
Right.
So,
well, there's a beer that's brewed up in the New England area that's always like the highest one.
What, from Heady Topper?
Yeah.
It might be the best beer in the world.
Have you traded for that yet?
Yes, multiple times. Now, right now, I'm waiting. I haven't traded for it. This is my first time. I haven't traded for it multiple times in a year. This is the first year I never have, because they're building a new brewery, and it's going to be done in February of next year. When that happens, it's going to be easily accessible. So right now, it's you're able to basically trade rape people, if I'm allowed to say that. So you can. People are getting tons and tons of stuff for Heady Topper.
Did you say trade rape?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
So right now you can do that because it's such a small demand.
We should have put a trigger warning.
Yeah, my bad. So
no, it's okay.
So right now you can get a lot for Heady Topper, but once a new brewery comes out, they're going to be making a ton. So I'm going to be able to trade it for shelf beers.
So how many Coors Lights do you have to trade for?
Well, it would be
zero.
That'll be
like it wouldn't be Coors Light. It would be like the Three Floyds beer.
Three Floyds beer you'd have to do. You could do some of your not your father's root beer has different percentages. The one you drank was 5.9. They have 11.2 and they have 19.6. So some of those
19.
Yeah. So some of those will trade for
sell
more.
that in Indiana.
No. Yeah.
Indiana, I think you can only do. Am I wrong on that?
You are definitely wrong, because there are states that are like that, like Pennsylvania can't. But no, the Hurrah has a beer that's 19% on a shelf. So that's not a law. The only law we have here about alcohol is can't buy on Sundays. So.
Oh.
That's so stupid.
I don't know why I thought that in Indiana.
But some like Tennessee, you have liquor. You have some liquor stores that can sell that will only sell above some percentage. You have some. That
what I was told.
Well, hold on. I don't want to leave the Heady Topper discussion first, because
all right.
Because don't you think that scarcity sort of drives some of their sales? Like the fact that they only have so much to produce.
Yes, it definitely did originally. I mean, like, yes, they definitely drove. So now when they have more, but it's so dang good. Like, there's no way that it won't be.
Well, you would know because
it's called a Heady Topper.
Yes, Heady Topper. But like again, now this is a weird thing where I get into, like, why I started like home brewing.
Second to Headley Lamar.
Is I want something that like ultimately like California has really good beer, but unless the beer from California tastes better than the beer I can get here, like exceptionally better, there's no reason to spend the extra money to trade for it. So the only reason I trade for Heady Topper is because it's exceptionally better than anything we get here in Muncie. You may have heard of another beer called Pliny the Elder, which is in California. You may not have, but if you search it, Pliny the Elder is basically the second most beer talked about probably. It's in California. Zombie Dust is just as good or better than that, so there's no reason I would spend 20, 30 extra bucks to get that. So it's all about kind of finding what's in your market. Is it really better to trade, or is it better just to go to your liquor store and
do you have to physically deliver this beer, or can you? Okay.
I drop it off at the FedEx by Texas Roadhouse.
So this is Zombie Dust right here.
Oh, so we had Zombie Dust.
No, that's just in the bottle.
Oh, okay.
It's a 3
So
points.
is this the Alchemist that you're talking about? Because the Alchemist has a BA score on beer I forget of 100.
Yeah.
Has a perfect score.
Because they only make like 4. They've only made 4 beers like ever or something like that. But they really only won. Well, now they make actually 2: Focal Banger and Heady Topper.
Focal Banger. Sounds like some weird 80s
and the Crusher.
band.
The Crusher, those are the 3 that are amazing. I've only had Heady Topper. I've heard Focal Banger and the Crusher are actually better, but they were produced in so small.
What brewery is this?
The Alchemist in Vermont. You're never going to know.
That's
about it.
The Alchemist is the name of the brewery.
Is the brewery.
Okay.
The beers are Heady Topper, Focal Banger, and the Crusher are the top 3.
But the point is, like, they brew, they release, they sell out on the day they release.
They sell out, yeah, and they only, right now, since their brewery is down, they actually only distribute to grocery stores, so people will drive around and look on Twitter or whatever, and, be waiting outside for that truck to hit. They'll run inside, and they'll drop $60 on, 24 beers.
Wow.
Actually, $80.
Then immediately go and trade them off for other things.
Yes, they'll trade for a lot, and it's stupid.
So why is their beer so exceptional? The ingredients,
their water.
The water.
Okay, so the best brewery in the world right now, which is actually it's only ranked number 3, is Hill Farmstead. This guy brewed. He basically was an apprentice over in Europe, Germany, the big beer places you should want to be, and he came back to his home farm and said, "I'm going to brew here because the water is that exceptional." So in Muncie, the reason why our darker beers actually won is because our water has so much sulfur, and it's actually going to lend itself better for dark beers. The only reason that Guinness is brewed in Dublin is because of the water. If they were in the Czech Republic, they would have been brewing Pilsners. So the water means a lot to that. So our water, to make IPAs, we have to do a lot of tinkering with it because our water sucks for IPAs.
I bought distilled water when I made mine.
And then if you only do distilled, then you have no minerals. So then you're actually ridding yourself of beer. So I mean, distilled is good, but I'm saying if you use all distilled, you're not going to get some of the flavors.
I might have.
That's why they go to the Rockies. That's why they go to the Rockies.
So I mean, because water is 80% or more of beer. Right. So that's where I think really comes into why their beer is so exceptional is in your areas of water.
You know what? We're an hour in, and this is the first time you talk about water. Like, I would have just used tap water, not even thinking about it. Like
our water, I would never touch our well water. Our well water is so irony, it's ridiculous out
Just
here.
go right out to the living well there by Granville Bridge.
That's right. That's what I'm thinking.
Have you ever been out there?
No.
Yeah.
I would like to go. There's some supposedly some kind of spring in
just
Anderson.
Literally right up the road here.
Yeah, I would love to use some weird water and actually do 2 different batches. Use a normal water and then use maybe this weird well water or whatnot, spring water.
All right.
You know where Eaton is.
No, don't tell him. Don't tell him.
I'll tell you afterwards.
No.
It's literally like 10 miles, less than 10 miles away.
It's 5 miles. It's the BOBcast brew.
Yeah.
We're going to use that water.
We're going to use
that water. The living well water.
That's what we called it. I don't know what it's actually called, but
I mean, it'd be neat to,
It's always cold.
It's basically 2 rocks and just water comes out of it perpetually.
Yeah.
So we're going to use that water for the BOBcast brew.
So we'll have to go get a bunch of buckets and
jugs. We only need 5 gallons.
Save some milk jugs, sanitize them, and
we like 8.
We'll take them.
Okay.
We'll do it.
We'll use apple cider jugs.
I'm so excited now.
Yeah. So I mean, if you drink this, you're probably gonna stay here tonight. So if you don't want to do that,
hey, guess what? It's my house. Okay. Give me some.
All right. So this.
Hold on. Maybe he doesn't want to open it.
No, I do. This is one of my favorite beers in the world. So this is a 2014 version. So this is actually a year aged. But this is Bourbon County. So
is it like in barrels or something?
It's basically a BCS. Yeah, it's basically a base beer.
Should I go with a new glass?
Then they age it in Heaven Hill barrels.
That's interesting.
This is a beer I'd love to clone, but the recipes out there are just so expensive it's not worth it. And basically, there's no way you're going to make it unless you get
you need to go deeper than that.
Unless you get a barrel yourself.
You got to go deeper.
Yeah.
So I'm never going to try to really make that beer, but this is one of my favorite beers. You're going to get a lot of bourbon.
I can already smell it.
What?
You got to go deeper, Doug. You got to go deeper.
What bourbon do they?
What do you mean?
They use Heaven Hill, which you're not going to see very often on the. It's basically a side venture. I'm pretty sure of like the Jim Beam company, but it's obviously Jim Beam's not very good bourbon.
Jules isn't here. Jules isn't here, so you can sleep in her bed.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna need. This is one of my
favorite. So I have verticals of this back to 09. I have 09, 010, 11, 12. And each version either gets a little more chocolatey or coffee. Sometimes you can get some coffee notes. It's either chocolate more. As longer it ages, the more bourbon usually comes out. So if you like bourbon, you're gonna get a little more bourbon flavor.
You want any more? We'll give it back to the man.
And I'm not even a big.
Holy crap!
Yeah, this is just an exceptional brew. You can get this coming up in like November. It'll hit stores in Muncie, but you got to kind of be in the know because it won't last on shelves very often because it's just a super rare.
It definitely tastes.
You poured yourself way too much of this. I'll tell you that.
What's the content on that?
Okay, so this percentage before it was aged is 11 or 13.8.
And it's aged a year.
So it's going to get more alcohol as it ages.
I wish that people could smell this.
Yeah.
Because this smells amazing.
It smells so good.
It burns like.
What's it called again?
Bourbon going down.
Bourbon County by Goose Island. So this is only in Chicago, so it's only 4 hours away. But this is one of the beers.
Wow.
I'll pour that in a little bit of Coke. I'll be ready.
Spell bourbon for me.
BOURBON.
That's where I did it wrong.
So these are beers
I would have said BUR.
These are the kind of beers that I have in my cellar. They're going to be not taste like
99 on Beer Advocate.
Not taste like anything basically you had today. I mean, the homebrews are good, but they're not exceptional. But this is where a real brewer comes in. They make a beer that I would make exceptional. So.
Wow.
These are the kinds of beers I have. I have these that have like chilies in it. I have vanilla. I have coffee. I have
all kinds of
blackberry.
fruits, I'm guessing.
A lot of different fruits. So I love just base bourbon
what about
beers.
Apricot? Never hear apricot.
Apricot are used in sours a lot.
You use honey?
Honey, not really.
I don't think honey would stay.
Well, I mean, there's mead.
Meads are great, but yeah, in beers you usually don't catch honey flavor besides. Because I think if you use honey, you're just going to... It's basically a sugar.
Right.
So it's going to get eat up. You're not going to keep that flavor. It's a hard flavor to kind of keep in beer, so I think that's why you don't see it.
This is amazing.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah,
it's just the reason I bring up the honey is because we're thinking about buying one of those honey flows. And if you haven't seen what those are, they're freaking amazing.
Yeah, my friends really...
So you can make mead.
So yeah, if you get tons of honey, we should definitely make it. We've already made
Have you seen the specifications on how much honey you can get at the height of the season?
I have not.
If you have a really good during the springtime,
If
you have a really good...
What are you talking about?
It's okay. It's called honey flow. All right. Basically, what it is these beekeepers, I think in New Zealand, spent years trying to figure out a way to develop a hive system that would not disturb the bees. So basically what it is they are these plastic, basically inserts, where normally the bees would build their honeycomb.
I'm
losing Ryan.
I'll be honest. Like, I've never had a beer that tasted like... I don't normally like dark beers like this, but this has so many flavors. What's up, Brian? This is amazing, Brian.
Anyway, so...
Hold on, I'm not done. This is amazing. It feels like liquor, but it tastes like beer.
Yeah. And
a
lot of people that don't... Sorry.
Calm down, Ryan.
Let's help Ryan out here.
A lot of people that enjoy maybe bourbons like neat or on the rocks, but don't enjoy beer. This was a beer I would suggest to them because it's going to really introduce it. Now, if you're a wine drinker, if you're a lady, most ladies don't. I wouldn't jump right in this. Or even if you're just new to craft beer, your palate's gonna be assaulted. It's not gonna enjoy it. So I would start you more off like that hoppy wheat we started off originally. So and that's what you gotta really start doing when you introduce people in the new beers.
I don't know.
You want to introduce
these last
them
two.
Yeah.
And then your hoppy beer.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked your hoppy beer, by the way. I think you're selling it short.
And that's what shows the newest and the freshest.
Right.
Obviously, all these fresh and in their prime
were
a lot better.
The coconut beer was amazing.
So that and refining our
process. I don't know where the
cider
bottle went.
Obviously,
it's over here.
These were a long time ago, and this was just one of our last batches. So we've really refined our process. We know what we're doing. So any beer we do now is going to take basically exceptional. Unfortunately, I didn't save any of my good beers. I'm
going to go pee now. But anyway, the answer is about 40 pounds.
40? Yeah.
40 pounds.
What was the question?
How much?
About the honey.
The honey, how much it can produce.
I mean, that would make about 4 batches of mead.
Do you realize
about 10 pounds?
Like, I know that you guys don't care about this.
That's a week.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
Are you seeing, like, how this, like, sticks to the side?
It's called lacing, or, that kind of, if you go through and kind of rate beers, that's something you kind of look for.
Like when it's almost all done, how much you still see?
Yeah, like they just...
It has like a caramelization
it's got a good
color.
mouthfeel and whatnot because it's a thick beer. It's not a thin, watery,
So...
It's not Coors.
Have you guys did you build your own wort chiller?
Yes, we took copper. And we
did
built
the coil and everything.
Coiled around a small keg, and that fits
I love
right
to
now.
doing that too.
Yeah, and that's the best way to cool your. Because how did you just put it in a bathtub with ice, or
I did it in the sink.
Yeah.
Can you make?
I filled the sink with ice water and just dipped it in there and stirred it until it cooled.
So we can cool our wort, 5-10 gallons in 20 minutes or so. And
that's awesome.
And that's really important to get your wort down, because the longer you keep in this weird temperature range,
need a pumpkin,
the more bacteria that can kind of get in. So if you cool it down quickly, there's not. It's called the hot break. So you there's no bacteria that's going to really get in if you get cold.
So what I asked him is that if you build his own wort chiller, so what happens is like he explained, you want to get it from the hot to about a 70-degree temperature as quickly as possible, as fast as you can, and the best way to do that is to create a copper. In this case, the best way to do that is create a copper like spiral of cold water that goes in and touches the copper, and then it cools that liquid but doesn't add anything to it, and then exits quickly.
Yeah. Which law of thermodynamics is that? The induction principle or whatever. Copper probably pulls the heat out faster.
I don't know if it pulls the heat as it gives the cold
conductor. I mean, yeah, it's a conductor for the cold.
But that's what you see a lot, like when you see like moonshining videos.
Yes, they use all copper.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's the distill.
Can you can you do hard liquor in Indiana?
I don't think so, but
I don't know if
I don't know.
Not legally.
I know if homebrew included, some
you don't
corn
see that.
mash.
I think it's a lot different, actually. I think hard liquor is wine and beer are very close together, and I think hard liquor is a lot different. I mean, it's still the same idea, but I think there's a lot different materials involved. But also, I don't think it's very commercialized. So then,
right? I don't know. Moonshine's getting big.
Yeah.
Now it's became like I don't know. Maybe it's kind of dropped off a little bit, but like a flavor of the month there for a while.
Yep, I think
it's like we're going moonshine.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
My uncle's got this moonshine. Everybody's uncle's got something.
Right.
Right. This stuff from
I'll be
apple
back.
pie. Apple pie.
It's funny you mentioned that because I really gotta go too.
All right, it's just me and
Well, hey, it's me and you.
Yep, on the podcast. Any questions you have for me about homebrewing?
Well, I just honestly I'm super impressed with what we've seen. And the fact that this is a hobby that anybody can really jump into. I'm interested to see how many times did it take you to brew before you felt like you really had a handle on the process, before you start tinkering sort of with the method to see what you come, because you talk about it is an impact on your wallet. It's $40 typically, you said, for the ingredients.
Yep.
And if you tinker with something like that, it's like throwing $40 away, 8 hours of your time.
And basically 4 weeks, so a whole month of waiting. So, it is a time commitment and money and commitment. So it probably took about 10 or so brews, I would say, till we really kind of understood our equipment and whatnot. And it's basically a science project. You only have to change one variable. If so each time, let's say we didn't like, some kind of temperature we were doing, so we changed that variable. We also know there's a variable with our, maybe our ingredients or whatnot. So you can't change more than one at one time. So it was a very long process to kind of figure out, what works for us. So and each person is different, I think, and each equipment is kind of different. So I think it took about 10 or so brews, and we started really get it. And I think the last year we really understood exactly what to do, and we could come in. And it was basically like second nature. So.
Well, I'm just super impressed with what you displayed here tonight. We tasted 13 different beers that we spent like $75 for.
Yeah.
At the Friendly Package, and everything that we tasted here tonight was way better, even if it was a year old.
Yeah.
It was way better than what we paid buku bucks for.
And that's what our whole.
Well, I'll say the one with the pepper thing. That didn't top really anything.
But I like that. There's a little bit of that left, but I'll be honest, I'm a little bit. No, this is Russian stout that's left. I drank everything else.
And that's the whole reason I got in the hobby is basically I want, instead of having to every Friday night go out and pick up a 6-pack of Founders Imperial Stout or a 6-pack of Zombie Duster and Gumball Head, I want to know that, hey, I've got 57 bottles of Gumball Head, so that I can take to, my, uncle's birthday party and say, hey, I brewed this. When you say that, people jump on. They're excited.
Right.
They're like, oh, man, that's cool. And they taste it like, wow, this is better than what I'd buy at a store. And that's what you want. You don't have to be the best in the world. You have to win tons of competitions. You just want something that's I can walk in my fridge and grab instead of having to drive 20 minutes to the liquor store.
When I brewed mine, that's what happened. When I was telling people, I was working at a warehouse at the time, and I told a bunch of guys, and guys I didn't even talk to, it got around it got around in the warehouse, and I had a couple guys come up to me and say, hey, I heard you were brewing some beer. I'd really like to try that, and they showed up, and I wasn't, as I was told by HR, because it got to HR that I was talking about this, I was not allowed to distribute this on their property. So I had to drive off the property, and everyone had to meet me at another place.
Like a drug deal.
Yeah. Seriously, there was an ATM, like a drive-through ATM that was just down the road, and we all met there, and people were pulling up, and I was just handing them a couple bottles of beer.
And that's a fun feeling.
To the point that I didn't even get to taste it.
Wow. Yeah.
He didn't even give one to me, man.
Wow. So you or at least you mentioned a lot of the American breweries, I guess. I mean, do you do much with anything from overseas?
International, not really. There's only one, which is Cantillon, which a lot of people pronounce it Cantillon. That's over there in Brussels. It's
Killians?
Cantillon.
No. Is it
good try, right?
Though? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm not at all. Killians is awful.
All right, well, that's the one I heard of.
I know. Anyway, so
I used to bong Killians back in the
I was trying to decide whether or not he was saying that I was saying Killian's wrong, or if he's talking about a totally different place.
I'm talking about what I said right, Cantillon. It looks like Cotillion, so I'm just...
I still don't have any idea.
I know, it doesn't matter for you right now.
Anyway,
just enjoy your beer.
What's the beer?
So, Cantillon, it only hits the States about 2 times a year, and it hits very few states. That's about the only beer I mess with, but that's a Guise. It's a very... delicate style. It's basically monks. That's all they do is they make it. Mm-hmm. So some of the stuff that monks make, I get. But basically everything overseas. I mean, Germans do a lot of great lagers, a lot of pilsners, but in a way it's not beer that I love. And there's not great IPAs over there. Like what they love over there is so different than what America has to be big, flashy, and whatever. And that sometimes is kind of the best, but over there, the monks have really, like, if you pop a Cantillon, you can taste the depths of flavor, and there's just stuff that you're never gonna make here.
Speaking of monks, what is the one? I liked it a lot. And
Monk's Cafe.
Is it the Flemish one? There's one where it has a monk on the label, and he's got the bottle or the mug turned upside down.
Franziskaner.
Oh, it's
that was really good. I had that one time.
Yeah. Was it on the last podcast or the beer?
No. If it's the same one, the guy in the
it's like a
he's in brown and
belly, and he's got like his mug, and it's turned upside down. And he's looking at it.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
100%
they sell it at Friendly Package.
Yeah, but some of those over there, like the West Definers, I think I saw some on the last beer pod. They make some good German beers, like the Rathskeller down in Indy has a lot of good German beers. But yeah, basically I don't do a lot overseas, and shipping is a lot weirder over there because you have to check through customs, and basically your beer can get stolen. So I don't ever ship over there. In the States, it's a lot easier to ship. You don't have to really worry about, even though.
Is that it?
So how? Yes,
it is illegal.
Are you gonna drink
That's a great Hefeweizen.
Technically.
Well, no, go ahead. I have tons of it at home.
So hold on. So technically, it's illegal to do the beer trade across state lines.
Technically, you should not, because I don't know if you saw, but like CNN did a report where this kid on eBay was buying bottles of vodka because you don't have to sign for it. So technically, it's illegal. If you look at UPS and FedEx, it says it's illegal to ship alcohol, but they're not. You don't get any charges pressed against you. Like, you're just gonna get, hey, don't ship alcohol. Thank you. So it's kind of illegal, but it's not. I don't know how to explain it. It's really a gray area. But basically,
quasi-legal.
Basically, what I do is I write on my boxes Frank's hot sauce, or I write olive oil, decorative olive oil, or I ship a lot of snow globes or lava lamps.
Speaking of vodka.
So basically, it's a liquid, right?
Did I say vodka?
When you're talking about vodka, just slightly in this vein.
About it.
No, well, he's talking about shipping.
You're talking about the shit that was
shipping.
vodka.
Yes.
There were Russians that happened, I don't know how many years ago, but actually a huge smuggling ring of vodka. They were taking the vodka and putting blue dye in it and putting it in dishwashing detergent bottles. And then when they get over here, they just run it through a filter to take the color out, and then distribute it as illegal vodka.
Still sounds like that would ruin the taste of it, but for good vodka, I'm guessing. But
well, I'm not saying it was good vodka.
Anyways,
so sorry,
but yeah, that's so you just ship a 6-pack, you just pack it real tight
with bubble wrap and in a cardboard box, and then they ship as well.
So you ship 6 beers to them? You do it as 6-packs? Is that how?
It's not ever regulated in that. It's basically whatever you agree on. A lot of times you do dollar for dollar trades, which basically says, hey, I'm gonna go spend $40 of shelf beer, which is beer I can walk into Friendly Package or Muncie Liquors and buy, and you're gonna do the same. Or we may say, hey, Bourbon County, let's say it's a little more rare. I will ship you 3 of these bottles if you ship me 20 of a shelf beer or a beer that's not as rare. So you can get rarity factors in there, which I won't bore you with a ton. But Hetty Topper's example is Hetty Topper would acquire 12 Zombie Dust, where Pliny, 3 Pliny
12 for 6.
12 for 6. So you get a better ratio because Hetty Topper is better, supposedly, than Zombie Dust. So there's a lot of things, but a lot of times, I ship 12 beers, you ship 12 beers, and you want to ship more beers than less beers. You don't ever trade one beer for one beer, really, because you're going to be paying the same amount of shipping for one beer that you are 6 beers. So why not ship 6 beers?
Right.
So that's where you get into that.
So can I ask where on the dark net do you meet these people?
Oh, Beer Advocate.
Advocate
is where there's Rate Beer, there's Talk Beer,
because there's once on here.
Yes, and that's what you.
I'm looking at Zombie Dust and it has 4,381 wants. The other one that you were talking about, Hetty Topper, had like 8,000 wants.
So you can go on there and look at who wants what. And if you have it, you can find trading partners. But nowadays, I just have trading partners that I already trade with, and we just trade back and forth.
You're already contacted with.
So I don't try to contact new people.
It's like pen pals.
Yeah.
But Pink Floyd's has a beer they release one time a year.
Dark Lord Day.
Yeah, Dark Lord Day. Yeah. That people that are there.
You should go to that day. You look like you would enjoy that day.
Sam Adams has the Euphoria.
Utopia.
Utopia, that's what it is. Have you had that?
That is the only beer in the world that I want to have that I've not had.
Is that the one that comes in like the brass collar?
Some odd dollars, right?
It's been at Friendly Package, and actually my friend Andrew Camp actually bought it for
and $250. For you?
No, he still has it. He says he'll pop it whenever, but he's a musician. He's down Kentucky, Louisville, or something, Nashville. He's making music, so I don't know if I'll ever have it. But he has but I'm not gonna spend if it came in a Friendly Package again, and I had 6 people that would spend $20, I would spend $20 on 2 ounces. All I'd get is 2 ounces, but I'm not gonna spend $200 for the whole thing. That's just stupid.
Because it's 8 ounces, and it's real small, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say it's probably 16 ounces in that whole thing. But that's why I would spend $20 for 2 ounces. But I would never spend the whole bunch. So that's one of the beers I've never had. But again, that's going to be it's a super high percentage. It's not really a beer. It's more of a liqueur, to be honest. But
it's a scarcity thing.
Isn't it like close to 20% or over 20%?
Yeah, it's something super high.
Yeah. And that's probably the only Sam Adams beer I would ever talk about and get excited about.
I don't know. The summer Sam Adams was pretty good this year.
I mean, it's a fine okay beer.
Well, you have to give Sam Cooke credit for what he's done for
Sam Cooke.
That's what I said, right?
Jim Cooke. No.
Yeah, Sam Cooke was a singer.
What's his name? Jim Cooke, right?
It's not Sam Cooke.
I'm glad to see the wheels are falling off for other people on the podcast as well.
It's Samuel Adams and it's Jim Cooke.
Yeah, Duvel. Yeah.
That beer had a very weird effect on a group of us one time. I don't know what it was.
I was not in that group.
It ignited a hunger from the abyss in me. There were like three or four of us that drank it, and we each had these very defined, unique bodily effects that affected each one of us different. Like one guy had it ignited crazy diarrhea in him. I don't know what was wrong. It was a really good beer. I mean, it was really good, but I just know it. I ate like 3/4 of a 16-inch Pizza King pizza. I drank that, and then something happened, and
never had that.
So Jim Cooke of Sam Adams.
Okay.
Sorry,
Jim Cooke.
Yeah. Jim Cooke of Sam Adams. You have to give him credit for what he did for the home brewer.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, 10 years ago, he was making strides. He was doing things that other people weren't, and his beer was great. Now he's been eclipsed in a way. I mean, I still think Sam Adams beers. If I'm somewhere, and I really want a beer, and there's only Boston Lager on, I'll get Boston Lager. It's a great beer, but I'm never gonna go I'm not going to be sitting there on the couch on Friday night and be like, man, I'm really craving a Boston Lager. Let's go have one.
Right.
But yeah, he was basically a front runner, and now he's been eclipsed, and obviously he kind of falls into the mass-produced, in my opinion, nowadays. Yeah. But yes, he was a great pioneer at the beginning, and
I saw this really good small short documentary. I think it was on YouTube on Yingling, and the family that owns it, and the dad that like basically still runs it. He had all daughters, and like his daughters are running the brewery now and stuff. It was really kind of interesting to see. It was kind of cool because I know that they're all family owned. They're real tight and stuff like that.
Well, so. I mean Goose Island, which you just drank this, it's owned by InBev. So it's owned by Budweiser.
Really? And they're talking to buy Miller, right?
Yeah, Miller is they're trying to
Yeah, they're trying to buy Miller too.
Which would do a great I think a lot for craft breweries actually. I think
really? You think so?
Yeah, I think
why is that?
I just think that having them under one roof, you would just have basically the swill. I don't know, I feel like at some point
they would own Coors and that's about it.
Yeah, I think right now basically, InBev is buying a lot of breweries, and Heineken is just saying that they're realizing there's money in those. So I think you just have one high conglomerate. I think you're not going to have as much buying. I just don't feel like as you would with two. I think you've got a lot more assets to use, but I could be wrong. But
so you'd have Coke and Pepsi, but then the rest is all,
Yeah, but what he's saying is if there was no Pepsi, it was just Coke. Because right now there's Coke and Pepsi, but if Pepsi buys Coke, there's only Coke. So that means there's lots of room there for the other guys to spring up.
Okay.
So, but I mean, I was really worried when InBev bought Bourbon County. I thought, okay, they're going to take this brewery and they're going to make it suck. But they've left it alone and just raked in the profits, and they were smart in that.
Because they bought Budweiser. That was a big one.
Budweiser, right? Bought them. So
I just think of when I first started going to the Hurrah in 2001-ish, and just even locally, you'd go there and drink, and then go around locally, and between then and now, you go to a Meyer or Marsh or whatever, and just the selection now has become, for an average beer drinker, is so overwhelming.
Yes.
It's just like, I have no idea what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Rolling Rock, and then there's 1,000 others.
Yeah, I tell a lot of people, I mean, like, great thing, like, I would plug Muncie Liquors. I have a really good relationship with the guy who owns it. But also, Friendly Package has a great Mix 6. So a lot of times I tell people to go in, and so does Muncie Liquors, but they just have a little less selection. But, I tell them...
You can do a pick 6 at Muncie Liquors?
Yeah, they just have a little less selection. But yeah, the first row of doors, you can take any of those. They have singles in all those things.
Which one do you go to?
The one on Wheeling?
Go to either one.
Muncie Liquors.
No. Okay. Which Muncie Liquors do you go to?
Okay. I mean, I go to the one right across from Central, kind of. Off of Wheeling. The one that's...
Okay.
Yeah,
right, Amazing Joe. So that's the one I have a good relationship with the owner there. And I got in with him before the big craft beer boom in like 2011 or so, or 2012.
Right.
So I got a really good relationship. So he hooks me up with, so I won't have to wait for Bourbon County. He'll have it behind the shelf for me. So, but I meet a lot of my friends at Friendly Package or Muncie Liquors, and I'll go through and I'll pick 6 different styles of beer, because a lot of times you'll get pigeonholed in the style of beer, or there's so many selections, as Doug said. Doug, did I get it right?
Yeah.
Good. Man, I'm so bad with names sometimes.
Luckily, it's an easy one.
So, as Doug said, a lot of times you're overwhelmed. Now there's not vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. There's now 45 different flavors. So a lot of times you get overwhelmed. So it's good to have somebody kind of point you in direction of, hey, well, you've never had a sour. Okay, I'll give you a basic one. I won't give you a warhead that will knock your face off, but I'll give you one that's going to introduce you. Or you like hop. You might not hoppy beers. I'm going to give you a little hoppy beer, but not a tear your face off hoppy beer. So it's good to have somebody, but that's a great place I recommend to get a Mix 6, because you can try 6 different beers. If you don't like it, you're not stuck with a 6-pack of beer you hate.
Right.
So that's what you have to do nowadays, basically.
You make me feel bad when I buy like just a basic 6-pack. Like for my birthday, we did this thing out here, and I had a bunch of people over, and I was like, Sarah's like, "What do you want me to get?" And she was at Meyer. I was like, "Just get Labatt's, because I like Labatt's."
Give me some Moosehead.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing is, if anything from this, if you're not going to brew it yourself, get something that you like, give something that you're going to enjoy.
Yeah, and I'm not going to hate people that enjoy coming home and drinking a, 24 pack of Bud Light. That's what they like. It's there's a place, there's a time and place for Bud Light.
There's a time and place for Keystone Light.
If you're having sack races at your kid's birthday party or beer pong,
ponging it up.
There's a place for it.
Well, it's funny. I learned the background behind why everyone hates PBR here because of a guy that works at Muncie Liquors. Is he explained that it didn't have the quality standards that Budweiser and Miller Lite had.
Who hates PBR?
Well, what happened is that back in the day, they didn't have the standards of pulling stuff off the shelf after a certain amount of time.
Well, you're talking back in the day.
Yeah, so it would get skunk, and then no one would, and then people would buy it, and it'd be awful. And they didn't have the pulling off the shelves like Anheuser-Busch did and stuff like that, so they would remove their old stuff and buy it back.
Are you saying Stroh's did it the wrong way?
And there was something I read. It wasn't Stroh's. Was it Stroh's that got a high rating on some beer site?
It weren't. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
What was that? I can't remember what it was. But anyways, there was some beer rating system years ago that I read, and Stroh's had some high rating on it. So I don't know.
I can't believe that. I'll be honest. I can't believe that. Is my voice sounding horsey?
No. How long are we gone?
We're an hour and a half in, and I feel like we could go.
That's all right. We could go even longer. So,
but if that's what
sounds like, it sounds like we need to do our own brew.
Yeah,
it sounds like we do. Yeah. Buffalo Brew. I feel like what did me in is the rest of the Bourbon County.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Did you drink the rest of the bottle, Ryan?
I did. I did. Okay. I finished.
Oh yeah.
Bottle.
That if you had
I'm driving you home, aren't I?
Yeah. If you had a really bad day, you just sit down on the couch, you pop one of those. You're great the rest of the night. Like
I feel like if I had a Bigfoot Ale to begin with, and then a Bourbon County afterwards.
Oh,
I feel like I'm good. I started this
just
podcast
think how much
with
cheaper that is per ounce than like Knob Creek or I don't know. It's kind of cheap now though.
Yeah.
I don't know what a high.
You're paying $20 a 4-pack for this. So
I'm honestly not
$5 a bottle.
My lower half.
Yeah.
At all. I feel like I need to give you at least $5.
You don't.
This has been amazing.
I enjoy popping beers.
He's not hugging you yet. So
hold on.
We're okay.
Or hiding. That's what I do when I get drunk, is I hide from people. But go ahead.
So when is you think you're going to enter another contest soon?
Again, I don't know that I will. I just like we did the Hurrah contest, and then we did a few others where we actually sent away like to California, Colorado. Like you don't have to be at the competition to send your beer. Right. And we did the Up Cup down Upland. That one I would do again because you get the Upland Up Cup. You go down to Bloomington, you actually get to have beer free all day for about 6 hours while they judge your beer. So you can just go up pint after pint after pint. So that one I would like to go to again because that was like.
Is that if you enter or if you have to pay?
You can be a guest.
Okay.
So if if we brew a beer, we could just go down to Upland and drink all day and watch our beer get rated.
When is that?
It's like always in like April or something.
Well, April's not that far away.
It's right after taxes.
Now, another question to back up on some stuff here. You said one of these was like 8 months.
Yes.
That was the
one that you made, right?
No. The regular Imperial was the one after the breakfast stout we had. We had two back-to-backs.
The Russian.
Yep, the Russian. Yep.
That one you did?
Yes, we did. Yep.
So the 8 months, is that bottled or is that?
It set 8 months in the secondary. So basically, we put in the primary for about 2 weeks. That's when all the yeast. Then we just racked it off the yeast into the secondary,
to the glass
carboy, and let it sit for 8 months just by itself.
Okay. See, when I did my carboy, because I was doing it in an apartment at the time, I actually took this T-shirt, and because you're supposed to put it in complete black, I did a black T-shirt, and I tied it around it and then covered it with that, and it's set in the living room in the corner, and that's where it was the whole time.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what people have to do in apartments. Luckily, we have fermentation chambers, so we have... Again, I took small freezers like, you'd find in college dorms, and we hooked up temperature control so I can control the temperature of my fermentation more than people can. Most people just shove it in a dark corner, and you're going to do a lot of good beer that way. But if you control a temperature, you're going to have even better beer. Yeah. So we've had that kind of luxury, and that's been nice once we figured out our process to be able to kind of dial it in so it stays at 70 degrees the whole time instead of maybe fluctuating from 65 to 68 or maybe never getting to the temperature you want.
Okay. Cool. How many carboys do you own?
Between us, I think we own we own 7 6.5s, and then we have 4 5-gallon ones that we do for small experimental batches.
Okay.
So I don't know, about 12 or so.
I think the one I have that came in a kit was the 5-gallon.
Yeah, that's too small for a 5-gallon beer because you're gonna have reaction basically like that when you saw that foam up.
Right.
If you put 5 gallons of beer, it's gonna fill all the way ahead. Well, you're gonna have all that fermentation, so you're basically gonna blow your airlock, and you're gonna have beer everywhere. Usually, not all the time. But if you don't calculate right, you might not even brew 5 gallons. You might put 4 in the thing and have enough.
Maybe
head.
it's 5 gallons.
And that's why we always have 6.5. So we put 5, and we have a gallon and a half full of head.
Okay.
So that we have expansion room for that. So
see, I bought my kit at Great Fermentation, so whatever their it wasn't the bottom kit; it was the next kit up because the bottom kit didn't come with the glass cardboard. Just by looking at the kit,
could you tell how big it is?
Yeah, I mean, okay. I can look at this cardboard in 3 seconds and tell them how big
it's in the garage.
All right, we'll have to check it out as soon as we're done here. Are we done here? Is that? I'll be honest, like I've been a passenger on
I don't know.
Whatever.
There's no way that I'll be able to exit.
What was your favorite beer again?
Ever in the world, or
sure, ever in the world.
The Bourbon County.
I mean, that's a hard question to ask somebody like him.
If you had one,
if I had one beer,
if somebody was like, "You're going to a desert island, I'm sticking a gun to your head. You pick one, and that's it."
I'd probably do Heady Topper. My second beer is Vanilla Bean Dark Lord. Would be my second.
Vanilla Bean Dark Lord.
Who does that?
Three Floyds at Dark Lord Day releases Dark Lord beers, and those are all $15 a pop. But every time when you buy a ticket to get an event, you get a scratch off. If your scratch off says yes, you win the chance to buy a $50 beer. So that beer is $50, and it's Dark Lord aged in vanilla bean barrels, and it is.
So you've gotten a yes, or someone with you?
I've gotten a yes before, and I've spent $50 on a beer. I'm ashamedly say it. So.
How big of a bottle is it?
It's only a 22 ounce, and they sell. When you walk out of the brewery, you get your bottle. You buy $50. When you walk out, 10 steps out, there'll be people that'll hand you $300 cash for that bottle right there.
There you go.
So my friend who goes with me every year, he'll just walk out. He'll pay for his whole day. Because, we stay in a hotel that night or the next night, so we don't have to drive and whatnot. So there's hotel, there's food that day. So he basically pays for his whole 4-hour, trip and hotel room by winning that bottle and making, because he'll sell it for $250 and he'll make $200 right there on the spot.
That's silly. Awesome.
But yeah, so.
But sure, I mean, because if you've had it before,
Munster.
That's right.
Outside Chicago.
Because if you've had it before, why not?
Why not? Exactly. So, but Vanilla Bean, my second. Hey, Topper is just people are real big about hype. Like it's not, they get all caught in the hype, but it's exceptional. But again, if you look at for 24 bottles of that, it's $80. For 24 bottles of Zombie Dust, it's $40.
So
half the price. So it's only a splurge type of thing. It's not every day. I'd rather have Zombie Dust because I'm going to get almost there, but half the money.
Well, the great thing about this scenario is it's free.
So here's what we need you to do. The next time,
granted, you're living on a desert island.
Yes, that's true.
I will. I don't know about these guys. I'm gonna make a statement here, but if you don't want to do it,
I don't know.
We'll cover part of your cost for your purchase to trade for the Heady Topper if you can give us one can of it, because it's come in can, right?
Yeah, it comes in 16-ounce cans.
So one can of that, whatever your trade is, we'll get one can
from
you.
What kind of beer
we'll cover part of the cost.
Double IPA.
Okay.
We'll cover part of the cost.
I think we just wait a year and we buy it from Myers.
No, you're never going to get it here.
How far west will it go?
Probably Pennsylvania.
I don't know, to be honest, because like Three Floyds only distributes to about 3 different states.
Yeah.
So some breweries, like Sierra Nevada, that Narwhal, that Bigfoot, it's distributed to about 28 states. So I have no idea. My guess would only be delivered to 3.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, it'll be in Vermont. I think it'll be in New York, and I think it will be probably Massachusetts or Pennsylvania. But I don't think you're going to see it very.
Yeah.
Probably
It's
Western.
not going to come to any. I just don't think it's going to, because the Midwest has so many other great breweries that we get that they're not going to be able to compete in a way. Even though they would, they
right.
would.
So yeah, the next time you get it, get a hold of Ryan. Or Angie, and we can figure that out.
I feel like for the guys I've talked to that have gotten Heady before, it's like that's what they've worked for. That's what they've gotten. That's what they've.
And it's going to be a big letdown if you think of it that way. Like if you think it's going to be the best thing you've ever had, you're going to sit there and drink like, oh, cool. But so you got to come in.
I just want to try it.
No, but I'm just saying. don't think of it as going to be the best beer you've ever had. If you think of that, it's just I think it's going to be disappointing. A lot of people, that's what they say. I went into it thinking this is going to be a great IPA, and it was like, wow, this is a freaking great IPA, you know? Like, so that's what you got to think of. You got to think it's not the best beer you probably ever had, but it's going to be the best IPA you've ever had, most likely.
So, I had one other question.
Okay.
So if you were going to recommend to, we'll just say a novice getting into this world of drinking, not even brewing, but just drinking it, what would you recommend as a beer just to get me into the world?
I mean, a beer, but it's a beer you've already had, because I saw on the podcast.
That's okay.
Two Hearted would be a beer that I would suggest to a lot of people.
Which I really
Bell's Two Hearted, which is is kind of an entry-level IPA. If not, I would go with any of Sun King's offerings, as much as I ragged on Sun King. I think, Osiris Pale Ale. The Sunlight Cream is basically a Bud Light for craft beer drinkers.
I think that's how you get a hook on them.
Yeah, Osiris and Weemac, they're great entry-level beers. That and Two Hearted would be, I would not recommend all day, obviously. But,
I think as soon as they smelled it, they'd be like, no.
Yeah, those are what I'd recommend. For entry level, some of the Sun Kings are very good in that Two Hearted. As far as darker beers, you're going to have to start with porters, not stouts, because stouts are going to be way too heavy for you.
I like porters.
And I don't, because I love stouts now. I feel like they're the ugly stout. They're the brother to stouts, but they're great. Brown ale, then a porter, then a stout. That's kind of the way you want to go.
See, I like brown. Well, I guess I like Newcastle, but
yeah.
I used to bong that stuff.
Newcastle used to be my thing to go to, but then when I stepped away from PBRs and I was staying with a lager, I was going to Red Stripe. I like Red Stripes for some reason. I like Red Stripe over Corona.
Oh.
I don't know why, but
I don't know either.
As no Red Stripe for you?
I mean, Red Stripe's fine, but we're talking about they're all in the same category.
Right.
Every beer.
Is Red Stripe even brewed in Jamaica anymore? Is it
I have no idea.
I think it was just a commercial.
Really?
Yeah. I have
marketing ploy,
no idea.
I don't know.
Probably
in Jamaica.
It probably was.
I've got this awesome thing in front of me. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, the power of the internet. So, well,
I don't know. We're either going to have to wrap up the episode, or I'm going to have to go get past Zach to the head or something, because the restroom is calling, my friends. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
We had 13.
13? Yeah. Is that what it is? I don't even know.
The lucky number, Ryan.
It's a lot. It's in my bladder, and it wants out.
No, I think you're right. I think there is a kind of a new age of this coming on again. So again, as the economy picks up, obviously people have more disposable income.
It's brewed in Canada.
It's what?
It's brewed in Canada.
Nice.
So technically, it's still imported.
So it's Moosehead.
Imported on. Yeah. It's done. It's done by the same brewery that does Moosehead in New Brunswick.
Hey, I'll drink
funny
Moosehead.
Making beer.
Or Little Kings, another guilty pleasure of mine. I can drink Little Kings all day long.
I like this.
I don't know if I've ever heard about that.
It's a little cream beer.
Little cream ale that come in little 6 ounce.
Like Mickey's does?
Yes.
But Mickey's is bigger than that, I think.
Okay. They're super tiny bottles.
It's the same
idea.
They have them at Savages.
Yeah, they've got them all over the place.
They're $1 a piece.
So do you guys frequent Savages or Harad or
I like Savages because the food's so good.
Oh, yeah.
They do have good food.
I actually have a jury story duty when it comes to Savages.
Jury story duty?
Jury.
They got rid of the biscuits and gravy thing, though, right?
Oh, I know. That is the worst. Biscuit gravy.
How many plates did you have to eat to get it free?
100. I actually have a picture of my friend who ate his 100th there.
Did they still give him free?
Oh, they give him free appetizers. So any appetizer you get, besides the appetizer sampler, he gets free every time he goes in there. So they kind of honored it.
Okay.
So it's good, but still, biscuit and gravy. Oh, my God.
Back up. What?
Okay, Savages.
We talked about this before.
There was a challenge at Savages. If you ate 100 biscuit and gravy, or it's biscuit and gravy, you couldn't have more than 2 in a day, you would get, if you did 100 in a year, you would get free biscuit and gravy for life. Well, about 2 months after, everybody, 10 people completed it, they stopped serving biscuits and gravy.
Right.
So now it's just a free
and
appetizer.
it was actually a pretty good deal. It was like $2.
Oh, it's $2
for a plate of I think like
four. It was 2 biscuits. I mean, it's,
4 halves.
4 halves and
so is it just good marketing or is it good?
No, it was actually good biscuits and gravy.
Yeah. But biscuits and gravy is obviously something that's hard to keep on for a restaurant to keep that gravy all day. But man, that's sort of